What is up, Gig Nation? Welcome back to the channel. The other day I had a subscriber reach out to me and ask what he should do. His market is getting too saturated. He delivers with Doordash, and all of a sudden they've hired so many drivers that he's not getting as many orders as he used to. It turns out he actually works and delivers in my market in North Seattle, so he was wondering if I had any tips and tricks. Well, I have a couple personal stories of when my market's gotten too saturated and what I have done in the past. Hopefully you can kind of learn from these. These actually apply to other platforms. They apply to GrubHub and UberEats, and I've also had some experience with this on Instacart. So I'm going to give you guys like a broader, more big picture look at it and some solutions that kind of apply to every single platform that you're delivering on. So this exact same thing happened to me with GrubHub a while ago. I'm not actually really sure what happened to me with GrubHub. I thought that maybe I got put in a timeout or like a temporary suspension because I was just getting no orders on the app. Basically, it slowed down completely. Maybe they hired a bunch of new people. Previously, they had just gotten acquired by Just Takeout at some European food delivery company. So maybe it had something to do with that. And essentially, it just slowed down a lot. And you know, when you're working in the gig economy, things can ebb and flow a lot. They definitely do. Different days of the week, different times of the day. Things are going to speed up, they're going to slow back down, and you're going to have some free time. You really got to wait this out. You got to be patient. You got to, kind of just wait for things to come back to normal. They usually do. There's a lot of different factors that come into play here. COVID-19 has been huge. It actually ended up increasing demand because a ton of people don't want to make that contact at restaurants. They were scared. They wanted to stay home. They're also suddenly working from home. So, they're not going out to eat in the middle of the day. They're ordering food in, which was a big boost for delivery drivers across the board. Doordash, UberEats, Instacart, all of these platforms, huge boost. And with Instacart, a few months back, we actually saw a very dramatic example of this from when a ton of new customers came on board to the Instacart platform. All of a sudden, there was huge payouts, huge tips for customers just trying to get their order handled because, there just weren't enough shoppers to take all of these orders. The payout got really good. There was a ton of orders. Shoppers were happy. And then Instacart hired 500,000 shoppers in a very short period of time. So they flooded the market and it got really hard for veteran shoppers. A lot of people went through hard times and they kind of just had to sit and be patient for a while. Patience really did come into play here because over time, this kind of smoothed out. It got to a point when a lot of these new shoppers started to drop back off the platform. And that's one of the important things to keep in mind, whether it's Doordash, whether it's Instacart, Uber Eats, is that when they hire on a bunch of new people, odds are most of them aren't going to last. Realistically, the turnover rate in the gig economy is super high, so you don't have to worry too much. Things are going to slow down, but they will rebalance. So what do you do if you don't like waiting around? Well, I've kind of been harping at this a ton on the channel since day one. You have to multi-app, and that doesn't mean working for multiple apps at once necessarily, but it does mean at least applying for a bunch of different ones and downloading them so that they're ready to go and you have them ready for times like this. So back to my personal story. When GrubHub slowed down, I actually would go on a block and I would get 0 orders. If I wasn't on a block, I definitely didn't get any either. I didn't know what to do. I kind of just stopped delivering for a while. And then I ended up downloading Uber Eats. I've been working with that platform for a while. It's been about a month now on that and it's been going really well. So essentially the fact that I had Uber Eats available and I could use that made it so that I could continue to get that income coming in. And then oddly enough, I looked back over one of my older videos about GrubHub and Doordash, and someone else in my area said that GrubHub's been crazy busy for them lately. So busy for them, in fact, that even when they got bumped back down to that partner level where you don't have priority scheduling for blocks, he was still getting a ton of batches just going online without scheduling, which is really the hardest time to get those batches and those orders coming your way on the GrubHub platform. And so that inspired me to go back and re-download that GrubHub app. I actually deleted it off of my phone. That's how slow it was. And sure enough, GrubHub's now picked back up again. It's like all of a sudden it balanced itself out. Some of those new drivers they brought on started to quit, or maybe other, old veteran drivers like myself just dropped off the app because it got so slow. Whatever it was, it just took a while to rebalance. So that patience definitely worked in my favor, and the fact that I could download another app and go to that in the meantime was really helpful for me. Now, what about if you don't want to multi-app and you want to stick to the same app, but your market starts to get oversaturated? You get worried because orders aren't coming in. Well, here's a little bit of advice on how to kind of maximize those earnings on your same platform, even when things are slowing down. And the biggest piece of advice here is to use the wisdom that you've acquired as a veteran and put that to work. And what I mean here is that when a certain app like DoorDash or UberEats starts to oversaturate and hire on a ton of new people, things will slow down a little bit. But you always have an advantage over those new users on the app because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know where the right places to be are, what the right times to get out there are. And just by being by the best restaurants, being in the right places at the right time, you can really give yourself a bit of an advantage and still, get some consistency out of an app, even if it's being oversaturated. Now, there's actually a feature on the UberEats app where they show you earnings trends in certain neighborhoods, and they break it down into like these geo-fenced areas within a city, and then they show you on an hourly clock, like between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., how many orders are coming at different times of the days, so you can kind of know what the best times are to be in the best neighborhoods. This is definitely something that you could apply as well if you do deliver with Uber Eats. Personally, it's not something that I use. I kind of just like to deliver in my neighborhood, and I know what the good times are to do that. I don't like to drive too far to get started. But I also live in a pretty good neighborhood as far as deliveries go, so I'm definitely kind of blessed here to not work too hard for that. If you've encountered something like this where the app that you work for, whether it's DoorDash or Uber Eats, brought on a ton of new drivers and your earnings kind of slowed down, let me know what you did to kind of combat that. I'd love to hear your strategy and what worked for you. If you can take one thing away from this video, it's just to diversify. This rule really applies to everything in life, and it definitely applies to the gig economy as well. Some of these apps are so easy to sign up for. For example, Uber Eats took me like a day and a half between signing up to actually getting out on the road. So super quick. If things do slow down, there's always a way to kind of find another app, start to generate income and do things that way. And you can also diversify outside of the gig economy, have other side hustles, other stuff going on. Personally, that's kind of what I like to do because I do get kind of bored and I have a little bit of ADD when I stick to one thing. So I like to have other projects that I'm working on and that I'm trying to generate income with. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the latest gig economy news and updates.